Welcome back, baby. Bitcoin at 107,800 flushed the liquidations and then went back up, closed the CME gap on the low side and closed the CME gap on the upside. People were saying, oh, 95k has to come, 95k has to come. Imagine if 95k comes now, it would actually be horrific and disgusting. But we do look like we want to test this again, and we've tested it that many times. Eventually, even if it is in 2042, eventually we're going to break out of this structure right here. The S&P looking juicy, following the top arrow rather than the bottom arrow. I think we are going to blast off to new highs. Although these bands do want to cross over and it does look overbought. So going down is definitely not out of the question. Gold looking corrective. Still going to be one of the hardest assets we ever see. Still going to pump eventually. It just depends on how long that is going to be. And silver is probably going to be the best asset we're going to see in a while. The safest investment, the highest upside ratio, going to get put in EV, solar panels, supply, demand. You know where the price is going to go. Just currently a little bit too high for my liking. I would like it closer to $30. And then I will be putting in a little bit more money. Unless the USA come out with banks and tons of silver. And they can just spawn it out of thin air. Like Solana. Like Solana. Then we're going to be alright on the silver chart. Let's actually see an updated version of my portfolio on the eToro. Today, it's all looking green. Nike, we bought it at the bottom because we're G's. Analysts were telling you to buy now. I told you to buy lower. I'm the GOAT. You should listen to me all the time. No, you shouldn't. Do your own research. I research these stocks. I do my bit. I want to research new stocks every quarter. I want to get better. I don't know if you do. I think you just want to copy me, and that's not the way to go. I also bought Tesla. So I didn't put this on my Telegram. Sometimes I'm too locked in and I'm busy with other things. I actually bought it at this price. You could have actually profited today if you sold it for about 307, 312. I need to put a stop loss on this dirty company because I do have a feeling it could break down. Especially the way it's rolling at the moment. I do want to see more upside. I still want to see upside with this company because I do see 400 on the cards. If it can push a little bit higher, Tesla, can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? Because I did put a decent amount into here. Google's still doing well. I love Google. I'm still looking at hims and hers, but I feel like it is still risky. I did see it at 46 today. I need it to complete a downtrend for me so I can enter because these lot are pushing a lot of money. And in America, the medicinal company, they don't have like an NHS like England, so they kind of need to buy their own pharmaceuticals, and they're not happy with the way doctors are moving. So hopefully this can come down and I can get me a fine bit of hims and hers. The fear and greed index, we're in greed on this indicator, and on this one we are in neutral. How on earth are we in greed when everyone's altcoins are going to zero? I'll never know. But let's have a little look at the Twitter. The trenches currently are getting slammed. This is the trenches, bro. This is Solana trenches, bro. SEC approves conversion of grayscale large cap fund into spot ETF holding BTC, ETH, XRP, Solana, ADA. I'm not gonna lie. If you want to take some guaranteed cash away after this bull run, if you buy these on dips with solid stop losses, even on a leverage play, even though I don't advise for that, just because leveraging is stupid because you don't know if the price is guaranteed to go higher, because if you did, you'd put more money into it, but you're leveraging and using somebody else's money, and also it's more of a risk because you're borrowing someone else's money and you shouldn't be doing that in investing, especially if you believe in a project so highly. Breaking, Fed Chair Powell says a solid majority at the Fed expect rate cuts later this year. Powell also says he cannot say whether July is too soon to consider cutting the rates. He's mentioning them again. It's close to being time. Being in cash is silly, man. Let me actually show you this chart before we move forwards, because the Dixie, The DXY is looking disgraceful. This is what happens when you hold dollars. Allow the dollars. The dollars are trash. Allow them. Leave them. Jerome Powell.
Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now if it weren't for the tariffs?
So I think that's right. In effect, we went on hold when we saw the size of the tariffs and essentially all inflation forecasts for the United States went up materially as a consequence of the tariffs. So we didn't overreact. In fact, we didn't react at all. We're simply taking some time.
Chair, would the Fed have cut more by now?
He's taking his time. He just wants the economy cooked. Nice. Nearly 50% of traders don't hold Bitcoin, man.
I did a poll recently and the results are quite shocking. What percentage of people's portfolio are in Bitcoin? Out of 7,000 votes, 46% of people had 0% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. This is quite shocking to me. And one of the common arguments that people have for this is that they don't have any Bitcoin because they're not rich and they have a very small portfolio. And thus, holding Bitcoin is not going to give them meaningful gains anymore. I get what you're saying. However, I have then a deeper question, which is, are you spending all your time in crypto being glued to the screen for 12 hours a day? Are you actually a good trader and you are sniping new coin launches on 5 different Solana launch pads? You're on Base, you're on all the new chains, you're doing all the public sales, you're on crypto Twitter 24/7. Is this you? If the answer is yes, then go ahead. You can try to turn your $100 into $10,000. And to be honest, the only way you can do that is by being 24/7 degen. But if you are just a pleb retail trader who checks their portfolio once per day, how are you going to beat these trench warriors? You're just wasting your already precious capital, and the market doesn't care about how big or small your portfolio is. Whether you have $100 or $10,000 of a portfolio, it doesn't matter. If you had held most altcoins over the past 2 years, on average, you have gotten less returns than holding Bitcoin, as we can see from Bitcoin dominance. So for the 46% of people who don't hold any Bitcoin at all, you really got to consider which type of trader you are. You either go full degen and gamble on chain 12 hours a day trying to make it with a 100x gain, or you have to play the patient game and wait for the easy mode altcoin season to actually start. Most people are
That's actually so worrying how that is everybody's plan, and that's also my plan, which means I automatically have to change my plan because everybody thinks like this. I cannot be like the majority. I have to win. I can't, and I haven't stepped into this game to lose. That's disgusting, man. That cannot be me. Alts look cheap against Bitcoin.
They can get even cheaper like we have seen in the last 2 years. Instead, you want to be sure that the altcoin season is real when Bitcoin dominance actually shows a long-term downtrend like this. And that takes a lot of patience. If Trump winning the election wasn't enough to trigger a durable altcoin season, other new space catalyst events are highly possible to be traps as well. And we don't need to catch these exact reversals on Bitcoin dominance, because just look at the last 2 altcoin cycles. In 2021, this altcoin season lasted for a whole year. And you had plenty of time to get in when the downtrend actually established itself. In 2017, the altcoin season also lasted for over a year, and you had plenty of time to get in when you saw the downtrend actually forming. There is no reason to lose your cool before the real run even started. Give it enough time for Bitcoin dominance to actually make a lower high and lower low structure on a weekly time frame, then you can know for sure that the altcoin season is starting and we have an easy time to invest in altcoins, and then you can deploy much more heavily into shitcoins.
True, man, it's completely correct, because if you want guaranteed results, you shouldn't be gambling. And I feel like a lot of the people that watch me are gambling with a lot of the coins that they've got. Which coins have you got and why have you got them? Let's be real. Fart coins started to trend down. This is the Coinbase listing. Dump. So after the Coinbase listing, usually all these coins eventually dump and give us generational entries, hopefully, before they go higher. It's the 2020 run copy and pasted, but this time with full institutional Wall Street government and corporate adoption. Just sit back, pre-order a Bugatti, and let it happen. Then there's bulls like this, bro. All season, every day for 2 years. Are you mad? All season will get sparked by multiple altcoin ETFs. But how do you know the coin that you're holding is going to go up? It might only be the ones that's in the basket of the altcoins like Solana, ETH, XRP, ADA, Sol. That's it. And Sui maybe. What else, bruh? Because that's the ones they've mentioned. The ecosystem doesn't need to pump straight away. It might just be the top coins first, then the others run after, a few months after. Look at the way the cycle's running, man. Watch who you're listening to. These lots spit some garbage. After years of effort, it finally happened. Grayscale finally converted it into ETFs. Large cap fund into an ETF holding the following cryptos: BTC, ETH, XRP, Sol, ADA. If I do get another dip, if I'm blessed with another dip, I'm probably going to buy some of these because I think that's where it is headed. Don't get me wrong, I've still got my certain bags, but I'm adapting as the market goes on. And if they're telling you what the winners are going to be, you just got to roll with the winners. If that's how you're going to get your gains, that's how you're going to get your gains, man. You can't argue with it. Even though I don't like the coins, I'll have to put a hard stop loss on it. Tesla will be cheap again this week because, yeah, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are fighting. That's why I bought a little bit yesterday. No way if this is Omikami, but how many times have we been led to believe that it's going to be an Omikami listing and it never, ever, ever is? Don't get me wrong, I'm expecting listings in the future, but we're just speculating here. I need the picture of Ryoji. I need the picture of Ryujin. And I need the picture of Omikami. And I need the listings. There hasn't been a red July in the past decade on the S&P 500 monthly return. Let's hope it stays that way because we're at a critical point in time. ETH on-chain activity is exploding. Huge for top ETH meme coins. Buckle up. Especially if a lot of people are looking at it. Where attention goes, money flows. You can now buy Tesla or Google on-chain with Jupiter. I made a video about this yesterday. This is actually crazy. I wouldn't hold these though. They're not stocks. And I don't think you get dividends. It's just like trading them. So you can flip them. That is kind of mad though. Still, worst year ever for the US dollar. Disgraceful the dollar is. This is the future of finance. You can swap this for Nvidia. Fartcoin for Tesla. Only on Solana. I wouldn't rule out rate cuts as early as July. It all depends on the data. July is not too early for a cut. That's good news. Watch Powell's tone carefully. It matters. And it is powerful. That's mad. July is not too early for a cut. Repost that. The time has come. People are buying stocks, man. Only on Solana. Altcoins are at the bottom. This is telling me that if you bet on altcoins now, especially the ones I've mentioned, the BCC, the Sol, the XRP, the ADA, even though I don't like them fundamentally at all, and the insiders could dump the whole stack on you, I feel like with the stop loss, it's a good risk to reward bet. President Trump says I'm not thinking about extending the July 9th deadline, and that's for tariffs, which means if he's not going to extend, he has to either make trade deals or he has to not make trade deals. If he doesn't make trade deals, the market's going to hate that and it's going to tank. If he does make trade deals, we could soar on upwards, especially with rate cuts around the corner. M2 is exploding as well. Biggest change in modern history. Please ensure that you've covered yourself because the jobs that you have may be getting taken by AI. I may be AI in a few months. I can't do nothing about that. I might be giving you better information as an AI bot on my Telegram, on my Twitter, posting every couple of hours, gaining me followers. All your feed might be AI already. All the birds I see on Instagram AI. You have to be careful, bruh. Dupe, Radium, Camino all have the stocks. It's mad. July the 9th.
The entire market can flip on July 9th. You need to focus on that day. On July 9th, Trump is finishing the tariffs, and he said from his mouth that he will not extend it. So basically the story is, Trump put these weird China tariffs, dropped the market by 29%. Then right here, He had Liberation Day, where he basically reworked the tariff policies, and he had a 90-day extension period to where he's not going to finalize the deals until that period is up. And guess what? That's July 9th. And the market reacted in a positive way, Bitcoin pumping 35%. This is Bitcoin's price. Clearly, the market can react in a negative or positive way according to this tariff subject, but this is what I believe after doing so much research. Let's first take a look at the negative side. So these tariffs that he puts in, if he strikes a deal on the 9th, right, can be inflationary, meaning cost push inflation. This means that prices rise because business costs go up. For example, when imported steel had tariffs, there's things like electronics and appliances that had an increase of price. Now, I do believe this is negative because the Federal Reserve could be like, hey, inflation's rising. This is bad. What we need to do is take liquidity out of the system, which will negatively impact stocks and cryptocurrency. That's how it works. Now let's look at the positive side. Tariffs can also be disinflationary, meaning all the money that's generated from a tariff, which is a tax on imported goods, goes to the government. The government takes that cash out of the economy. This means that there's less money to spend. Less spending equals less pressure on prices, aka disinflationary. So if there is this effect, then the Federal Reserve will be like, oh, look, inflation's dropping. That means we can lower interest rates and put more money in the market, which is more potential energy for stocks and crypto to go up in price. More liquidity, more price increase. Let's take a look at the data. So according to history, in 2018 and 2019, something very similar happened, by the way, with Trump. And these tariffs led to only a 0.1% increase in inflation. So it's pretty much neutral. Bookmark this for your notes. Right here we have the top part, which is the positive case, negative case. The real world data for the situation says it's going to be neutral. And the Federal Reserve themselves actually believe inflation is going to be neutral as well. So I think when it comes to the specifics of the data, it's neutral. Now, I believe overall it's bullish, and here's why. I've been waiting for a panic event in all risk on assets for a long time, and it seems like we've had our panic event. We had the World War III scare, like right here. Bitcoin held up just nice. And this was the big, it dropped the market for 30% with the tariff policies. This was a big panic event, but we held up pretty nicely. So when it comes to fear, that is probably out of the market. That's left the market. Everybody understands the tariffs, and I believe everyone thinks that Trump is going to do well with these deals. So perception-wise, I think it could be very bullish. Believe in Trump or not, he has a consistent track record of saving the market in times where the market is falling. So I think he'll do the same. If there's negative tariffs or whatever the case is and the market starts dropping, he's going to do something to save it like he always does. So I think it's short-term bullish.
We do like bullish, we do like it. Solana ETF approved. And they actually launched Solana with Solana staking, and it starts today. The Fed is about to fire up the money printers. Interest rates should be at 1 to 2%, Trump says. Robinhood to launch stock tokens, which they have done. Inflation is rising, but it could be a dead cat bounce, and we could be heading into deflation. We'll see how that goes. And we'll see, because everybody the other day was on about selling, but now everybody wants to buy again. I don't know. Just be careful who you listen to, man. Just be careful who you listen to, because at the end of the day, you're in it for yourself. And to be honest, if you're on your own, you're probably at a massive disadvantage. I've obviously got my Telegram group. I'm watching top dogs. I've got top dogs around me. We're going to see how this goes. We're going to see how this plays out. And the thing is, we're trying to make some money here, and that's the main thing. You don't want to be here and lose money at the end of it. Let's end it off with all season. I don't want to be like your favorite crypto influencer, because it's probably not going to happen like you think it's going to happen. Your coin probably isn't going to pump. You're going to be as annoyed as this one right here. So be careful what you're holding, and only invest if it's guaranteed to go up and your risk management is in place. Because if not, what are you doing here, man? You're just gambling. Get out of here.